Hello and welcome to Assemblies of the World with me, Anna Isabel. And I am very happy to welcome today's guest, who is Cassie Lamb. Hello, Cassie.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're doing something that I find I'm very curious about, and you're working with Shungite. So first, tell us how you got interested in working with Shungite.
So it's an interesting question that because actually itself is a quantum question because tomorrow is actually Buckminster Fuller's birthday. And Buckminster Fuller is the gentleman that the fullerene molecule is named after. And it was his work that actually got me interested in this molecule 20 years before I met Shungite. And tomorrow, it's also my birthday. so,
Oh,
so
wow,
I've been so entangled with this work from before I was even born. So,
that's fascinating. So, well,
yes.
first, happy birthday for tomorrow.
And yes,
And
happy birthday, Buckminster Fuller. He's not with us anymore, but yeah, sharing the birthday is just, you have these signs in your life that just you're on the right path and you can't stop doing what it is you're supposed to be doing because you're supposed to be doing it. That's my job. I didn't get interviewed, I got born.
okay, so how does this molecule fit into what you're doing with shungite? What's the connection?
Yeah. So the connection is that shungite is, if I just hold up a couple of pieces here, this is the carbon mineraloid that shungite is. And shungite is made up of carbon, silica, and other trace minerals. But inside that is a molecule called a fullerene, and it's a ball. It's a football shape made of pentagons and hexagons. And this molecule that's inside the shungite is the fastest spinning molecule that's ever been measured. It's spinning at 20 to 30 billion times a second. So most people, maybe people know this, maybe they don't, but everything is just frequency. There actually isn't really much here in reality, and everything is spinning. And so this molecule is so special, it's been given its own category. So where shungite should have been in the same category as diamonds and graphite and coal, because it is carbon based, it broke all the rules, just like us like Cabby breaking all the rules. Which is why I've joined Cabby, because this is what it's all about, connecting with people who cannot stand the rules. And this is where shungite is so connected, because it broke all the scientific rules. And so they had to make a new category and they called it the third state of carbon. So this molecule spins at this, measurable, fantastic speed in one direction. And that is the direction that slows down decay and slows down old age. And I'll just move that sorry off the screen. Oh, whoops. And slows down all of these things that make us well. Um, and it's reversing toxicity and it's reversing illness. And it's found naturally in this stone. So the other places that it could be found, this molecule, would be at very rare electrical phenomena and occasionally at meteorite crash sites. But if you're wanting to work with this in a way that you know that there are some in something, there are definitely some of them in shungite. And the other interesting thing was it was discovered that they were in the shungite because the guys that won the Nobel Prize were working out of Rice University, and the guys that were studying shungite were working at the same university, and they happened to be having a cup of tea when one said, we're working with this, and the other one said, oh, well, they're in our shungites. I mean, how much more coincidence do we need to have? And just for an example, I've just come off the phone to a lovely lady that received her shungite cup and who she then proceeds to tell me, her daughter's birthday is also tomorrow, and that she feels this really strong connection to me and to the shungite, and she wants to help. And I'm just like, there's no wonder you're feeling this strong connection. You gave birth on the same day, birthed Buckminster Fuller and birthed me. So yeah, yeah. There's
That
no stopping this connection now.
that's absolutely beautiful. Wonderful. So, okay, this how so we understand that this molecule exists, this very special molecule exists in shungite. Is it all shungite, some shungite? So it, tell us more.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
let's put it this way. Is all shungite born equal?
Okay, so that's a good question. Um, there are different grades of shungite. There are different types of shungite. So the different types of shungite, as I held up before, you've got a very silver-looking one that's very rugged, and you've got this heart-shaped one. So the heart-shaped one is the more usual, more common. 99% of the deposit is this black stuff. And then 1% of the deposit is this very hard, but also very brittle stone. So you can't turn this into beads and cups and bowls and things, this elite one. But that's 98% carbon, whereas the black one is 40 to 50% carbon and 40 to 50% silica, depending on how black it is or how grey it is. Now, both of these will have some fullerenes in them, but the interesting thing about fullerenes is they are the largest molecule that does quantum entanglement. So there's some debate as to how many fullerenes you might have in there or not. But ultimately, what the fullerenes are, if we just look at these a little bit longer, these have a vacuum inside them as well. And because of the spin speed, it's torsion hyperdynamics, in that the faster something spins in matter, so faster something spins in here, this molecule in here, the more dimensions it can access. And these dimensions are in the quantum realm, and out in space. So these molecules have been seen through the Hubble telescope as being out in outer space. So, but they're also the fastest spinning thing that's got a vacuum inside it, that's a quantum portal to the quantum realm. So it's a very mysterious experience to work with shungite and work in this way. So if there is a fullerene in one of these or two of these, it doesn't really matter, because ultimately you're working with a compound that's so quantumly connected with the quantum realm and with space and with these fullerene molecules that they're all connected anyway, because shungite gets more powerful the smaller it gets, because each time you break the shungite up, you've got another portal to the quantum realm.
That's so interesting because that brings us to homeopathy, where
Yeah.
the more dilute the essence, the more powerful it is. And thinking about flower essences as well.
Yes.
It's so counterintuitive to think in that way.
Yes. And also, if you think about the molecules on the planet that have the most potential are the smallest ones, which are the radioactive ones.
Okay. All right. So this is not radioactive, but
No,
it is something, it's got something of the quantum realm within it. Okay. Now,
it is,
for
but
those of us,
I'm just going to just hover over that radioactive element just for a moment, because at the main deposit, which is on the border of Finland and Russia, which is where we get our shungite from, because it is certified that there is fullerenes in that deposit. It's about 2/3 the size of Greater London. There's about 300 million tons of shungite there. Okay, so it's not about to run out. But the thing about the radioactive element is that in the main deposit, there is every single element on the periodic table somewhere in the shungite, apart from the radioactive elements. And that is because there was another scientist who was studying the fullerenes and radioactive particles, and these fullerenes can layer like an onion and suck in the strontium and cesium. And they're using it to clear the radioactive particles from the water at Fukushima, apparently.
Wow. Well, this is certainly, I feel a jaw-dropping revelation that you're a minute that you're giving us as you talk about this. So for those who are not familiar with physics, we do hear the word quantum a lot. Would you tell us about what this quantum world is?
Well, I'll try.
I know that's a huge subject, but
yeah,
we need a bite version.
Yeah, so how I can describe it is that if we view our environment, planet Earth, as a closed system, whether you believe in the firmament or not, it doesn't really matter for this concept. It's that we are in a closed system. We've got the energy from the sun, it's creating life on Earth, and then we have winter and things die down and then things come back again, but it's a closed system looping. Yeah. So when we have shungite being a portal to the quantum realm, it means new energy can come in through the stone. And the reason for this is because shungite is also emitting far infrared frequencies, the same as our sun.
Now that's very interesting. If it's emitting infrared frequencies, and it's only 2 weeks since I did an interview with one of our lovely cabby members who's working with infrared frequencies, now we're beginning to understand why shungite is so special.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So this is where a lot of people have got confused, thinking it's a crystal. Crystals, on the whole, generally, as far as I understand, are absorbing the far infrareds, which is what gives them their vibration. And then the lattice structure in the crystal will program that frequency. Because shungite doesn't have a lattice structure, it's not a crystal, and it's emitting the far infrared, this is where it's able to do all of the healing that it does, because that's what far infrared does. It can penetrate the skin, it can penetrate materials, it can then work in this quantum way with us. So to add another layer of understanding onto this stone, it is also able to work as a wave and also as a particle.
You're going to have to explain.
So we have a human aura biofield, and the shungite is able to pair as a wave to our entire electrical field. But if we have a problem, say with a particular organ, or we burn ourselves, or we burn those cells, then we need the shungite to work as a beam, so a particle, to then work directly with those cells that become damaged. And that's what Professor Andrzejewski...
I'm so sorry, but you cut out. I've missed the whole chunk. So you said that it's a particle and a wave, and
So with our bioelectrical field, our aura created by our bodies, you need the shungite to work as the wave to infuse our whole field. But if you burn or you have a damaged cell or organ, then you need the shungite to work as a beam, as a particle, like a laser, to work directly with those cells. So Professor Andrzejewski talks about it being able to do both, and this is why it's such an amazing resource.
So if I had a wound, let's say I had surgery and there was a wound after the surgery, or maybe a year after the surgery, and the healing had gone so far but then stopped, would I place shungite directly there, irrespective of whether it's the the surgery's just happened or a year later, would that be helpful?
Well, it would. And one of the ways that you could use it is in the Shungite balm that we developed, because that's working with the Shungite and the silver in the Shungite into a lovely balm, completely organic, with essential organic oils that also speed up the recovery of the skin. And so it's really good. And we have such lovely feedback from people that have had scarring from operations, psoriasis, all sorts of skin conditions. But also because Shungite is an antihistamine, that will repair the myelin sheath on your nervous system if you've cut it that deeply.
Wow, that's quite something, because that affects that can help with neurological disorders, basically, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Okay.
what happens with negative EMF frequencies? We are being, bathed in these frequencies that degrade the myelin sheath on your nervous system, and you need an antihistamine to repair the myelin sheath, and that's boggled me for years. And then I found the dots and put it together. And went, that's why people with MS, ME, who feel the effects of technology quite often, more often than not, and large numbers, have a very, very rapid effect when they're interacting with the Shungite.
Well, that's absolutely brilliant. Now, okay, so you've now raised a whole new topic, the topic of EMF and Shungite. So I think we need to delve a little bit further there. Tell us about the two things and why Shungite would be helpful.
Yeah, so this kind of now goes right back to your beginning question, was how did I find Shungite? So Nancy Hopkins, who was the Wi-Fi weapons expert for the US military, she found Shungite. And what happened was, she was on some internet forum. Everyone was calling for a solution for all this tech use. And she's her books are amazing. If you get to read her books, please do. And I mean, she might even be up for an interview. But she put the call out, just mentally, bring me something. And then something popped on her internet, and it was Shungite. And then the next day, I think it was, or within a few days, her friends came to visit who happened to have some Shungite with her. And this is how quickly Shungite, if you put the call out, it's like the hero comes, and Shungite just goes, "Oh, I'm here for you. I was on my way already." And so what she discovered was that when you add silver to Shungite in a very intimate pairing. So what we do here, by liquefying silver, soaking the Shungite into that liquid medium, and then baking it and repowdering, it's quite a process. But how Nancy discovered that, she found that it has a much, much bigger effect for the smart waves of technology. So this is where a lot of people have got a little bit confused, because your Shungite will work fine on reversing the frequencies for the electricity for your lamps, for your plug-in electronics, your hair dryers, these sorts of things that have a natural sine wave that's just spinning the wrong way. And what Shungite is doing is attenuating, which is reversing that spin, so it's spinning correctly, so it's slowing down the entropy, so that we're slowing down from the use, the degradation of the use of those items. But when it comes to square wave, smart technology, you get this square wave. Now, plain Shungite, it will struggle with that square wave. You generally don't get squares in nature. So the pairing of the silver and the Shungite, because silver is also a fascinating topic. Silver is what's called a plasmonic. It's intelligent, and it has a mind of its own. And so what happened was, Nancy was wrapping her nuggets in Shungite, in silver wire, and the silver was disappearing. So she did a remote view. The silver it walked itself into the shungite. In fact, I can just show you a piece that I've been playing with. Let me grab it. So this is a piece that I've put silver leaf onto, and the silver is disappearing into the stone. Let me just bring this up to the screen for you. Can you see that?
Yes, I can just see. Yes, I can.
So the silver just naturally wants to find its home in the shungite.
Well, that's really, I mean, this is getting into the realms of alchemy, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
And I'm thinking particularly, well, quicksilver was mercury, but now you're telling us that silver has as an energy, well, maybe I'm going to ask this a different way. Are you telling us that silver as an energy has an intelligence?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
So
well, that's what I thought.
one of the stories that will illustrate this is that silver used to be used as a solder because it's electrically conductive. Okay, and what was happening at the dawn of all of our electrical devices was they would stop working, and so someone would open it up and go, "Oh, well, the solder's disappeared. It's now not where we soldered it." It would walk itself and go and sit in the corner. And that's why solder these days is not pure silver.
Okay, right. Well, that's, as I said, your these nuggets of information that you are dropping are, it's like it really is a jaw-dropping moments going, really? Silver can walk away.
Yeah.
Are you sure this isn't fairyland? So yes.
No, no, it's definitely fairyland. So to go back
Because
to
that's the
yeah,
world, isn't it?
yeah. So it's and this is part of the things we really haven't been taught. You know, we've been indoctrinated and we've just been taught a load of nonsense. And now it's the time for that veil to lift and for this knowledge to be, you know, these dots to be put together and for us to discover it all again. So
Okay.
yeah,
I'm now I've got another question because I'm trying to make sense of this. I'm thinking about water holding memory and having, it looks like, an intelligence in its own right.
yeah,
And that now the question I'm asking is, solder has been melted. Solder is silver that's been melted. And I'm just wondering whether that liquid silver is different from the metal, the hard metal of silver. Has something changed within it? Maybe is what I'm asking.
I don't know. I'm actually not a silversmith, but
No,
that's an interesting question. If any listeners want to delve into that, um, yeah.
it's
But
just, it's
so
such an exciting thing.
yeah, it is very very. Once you start opening up these topics, there's more to question. Yes.
Yeah.
So the pairing of the silver with the shungite is very very important, and we met um, we met a chap some years ago who did independent testing of EMF solutions, and he said, "Oh, I've tested shungite with this um, art method called autonomic response testing," and he said, "We don't actually rate shungite for you know putting on your phones to protect you from the radiation." And I said, I can agree with that. You know, this is why we add the silver and why we've learned so much from Nancy, and why we bother to do this. Um, so the autonomic response testing uh, methodology involves capturing the photons as they come off the body in an amplifier, and it goes through a pole filter. And so what happens when we use our technology is the photons that come off our body go into misalignment, and they're firing off in all these directions. And what they should be doing is all in a beautiful alignment, like a windscreen wiper. And so, what and this methodology has been developed by Dr. Klinghardt, and I'm sure some of your listeners will have heard of him. And so, through this method, the pole filter lit up when our products were used, when people were using their mobile phone. So that is indicating that the alignment of their photons is back in perfect alignment, and also that the regulation of their organs is back into open regulation and a healthy state. So we were obviously, really pleased.
Well, again, that's making me think about the fact that our organs each have a frequency that they need to be at to be healthy. And we know this from sound healing, where helping specific organs get aligned with a certain frequency brings them back into well-being again. So it's making me think of that, and it's making sense. When you talk about photons, that are leaving our body, so is this linked with our aura, or is this something separate too?
This is something separate.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's quite.
Yeah, we have done aura Kirlian photography with our products as well, and that's on our website. And I don't know whether I can grab your picture here. Can I hold that up here? So there's a before and a with, and that was taken 1 hour apart.
So the color is different, isn't it?
Yes.
So,
yeah, complete shift.
And so it's going. Is it because the way you're holding it? I'm not sure which way we're. So the
right,
before
sorry.
is green. So the
yes,
before
she
is
was.
green.
Yes. The lady had a green aura, and then
red.
she had an orange. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and are we saying that the green was indicating something not right, and that the orange was as it should be, or what are we saying here?
So for this particular lady, when she had the aura interpretation information, the gentleman he said that she was being everyone's mother in her previous state, and then she shifted into joy. And when we send this leaflet out with everybody so you can have a good look at it, but if you've got some really good eyes on there, you'll see that her jaw is completely different. There's no tensing in her jaw, and she described that first hour with her pendant on, her whole throat chakra was being shifted as well. So that was her wearing a pendant, and that's affecting her whole electrical field.
Okay, so we've had an array of information to get our heads around so far. In terms of practical uses, what are you recommending here? If we're wanting to use it for physical healing, what could we do? And if we're wanting to protect ourselves from the EMF energies that are coming from our computers, what's the best approach?
So with the silver activated shungite powder, we are able to put that into so many different ways of it being used. So that's the key. And we find that it's a very swift solution. It works instantly. So we do have these very simple stickers. They can go on your mobile phones, your laptops, TVs, computers, the junction boxes on your laptop, transformers, hair dryers, anything you want to stick them on. If you want to put them on the radiators around your home, that will bring that healing energy using the water through your radiators. That's very phenomenal. We also have a body care range because shungite is antibacterial. antiviral, antifungal, antihistamine, antibacterial. So using it around the body, the deodorant is completely natural, and because shungite is antibacterial, it makes an excellent deodorant. The balm, which I've mentioned already before, is brilliant on skin conditions, arthritis, because the anti-inflammatory. What else? You can even use it, ladies, on thrush. Very good because of its antifungal. You can use it on pets, dogs, sheep. These are all testimonials that come back. Um, Horses love it as well if they've got, the same as we have, bits on our skin. Um, we also have things like these little pyramids. So one of the nice things you can do with shungite is you can actually feel it working often. And this is a case of just bringing your hand very slowly across the top of the pyramid. And there's a little cool breeze or a tingle. Now, if someone can't feel that, it's often because their energetic pathways, meridian system is blocked. But if you just keep working that and keep moving your hands around, depending on how big your pyramid is, but it will clear it quite quickly. And then you will feel this little wind or tingle, or sometimes people feel sparks. And this is the quantum adaptogen nature of shungite, is it does a system sweep. So where you mentioned earlier about each organ having a different frequency, I believe that's why shungite isn't a crystal. Because if it was a crystal, it would be set to one frequency. And it's not. And this is where it's able to work all of your frequencies in this quantum adaptogen way, to be able to match and do what it needs to do. So sometimes, when I'm working with people, I'll just do this around their head if they've had a stroke, and their damaged side will start twitching. It's remapping, remaking their brain plasticity, neural pathways, that kind of thing. If someone has epilepsy, they will feel a massive shift in energy in their head if they're using shungite. If you have a burn or a arthritis, you can do the same thing with the pyramid, or you can use the balm. Both work. This is the thing; it just does what it needs to do. One of the things that it's really good for, I'm just going to show you Nancy's experiment here. This is the top one. So there's 3 heads there. You've got the reddest head, which is a 2-minute call from a mobile phone. That's cellular damage. And then you've got the greenest head, which is the baseline. And then the one in the middle, that's with the sticker on the phone. So that's really showing that with a thermography camera, a heat camera, that the actual heat coming off your phone is really greatly reduced, which is basically that heat radiation. So there's so many things. And so we have things like shungite, we've put it into the sock. So you can do your grounding just by putting your shungite socks on. And the people who are used to riding their bike and, being active suddenly have this massive increase in activity that knocks the socks off. And there are the felt insoles as well, if you want to put those in. We do have some very limited. I do limited ranges of clothing sometimes when I can, and we do some scarves and things like that. It's just putting the shungite into inks, into paints, to work it into so many different ways. I mean, as well as all the jewelry that we make. So you can, yeah.
So you're having huge fun with shungite, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask, and then you mentioned paint, and I thought paint. So what are you doing with paint? With shungite paint, are we talking about decorating the house so that it's EMF protective, or are we talking about using paint, when we're painting creatively to help manifest? What are we doing with this amazing shungite?
all of that. So you can add the silver activated powder into, if you're going to paint your room. So if you take a little bit of paint out of your paint pot and mix your powder in, it'd be 40 grams for a 2.5 litre pot of paint. Then add that to the main pot. Now you'll want to use it as an undercoat because it can be a bit streaky, and it will make, obviously because shungite's black, it will make your colour a bit darker. So just bear that in mind when you're selecting your colour to go for something a bit lighter. But because it's emitting far infrared, you don't use as much heating.
Well, that's very cool. I think
It's very warm.
that's very cool. So I had wanted to just come back to the original question before
Yeah.
you threw that in, and it set me off in a different direction. How do we know that we are overexposed to EMF? Now, obviously, there are some people who are extremely sensitive, and it's very clear they get headaches, everything else. But if we're just experiencing EMF, what's the word I'm looking for? EMF effects at a low grade but almost chronic level, what might we be feeling that we don't know is coming from EMF?
So on a physiological level, you have heart rate variability and cortisol levels. And so when studies have been done where people have been tested using mobile phone, then those cortisol levels are raised and heart rate variability is also raised as well. And yes, plain shungite was tested and it did lower those levels. And so all we're saying with silver activated is it does a better job, especially when it comes to the square wave of technology for your inner organs, because that particular test wasn't testing the inner organs or the photons. So yes, shungite, plain shungite, silver activated shungite, you might as well go silver activated if you're going to go shungite. So that's where, yes, often people will find that they suddenly become very calm. They suddenly just sit down and just have moments with themselves and just take a breather. And this is an interesting one because, when you're trying to market your products, especially on social media, it's all the kind of wow, wow kind of excitement. And actually, it's like, actually, you might find the way that you behave differently to people is much more less triggered. We're able to observe our interactions. It's like being in a time bubble where you can be in a difficult situation and you're able to see the whole thing play out and then step back and go, oh no, 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 no. And then you can have the choice to react in a different way, which sets you off on a completely different timeline.
Now that's very interesting because it's only this week that again I was doing an interview about infrared in relation to animals with lovely Ruth Milner, who is a CABI member. And interestingly, she was saying that although the infrared technology is not being used for this purpose, that people are reporting that their dogs are calmer and that dogs that have been hyper have become calmer as a result of the infrared. And if you're saying that shungite has got infrared in it,
Yep.
now what are you dangling in before us? You're dangling, is it dog collars?
Yep. Little cat collars, little dog collars, and the bigger dog tags. Yes. And that's
Uh,
exactly what happens. People describe one, if it's an old dog, it will have a new lease of life and, get all giddy again. But yes, that the calmness and the general health of the animals is better. So yes, that calmness, definitely. Yeah. But the thing is, if you haven't got a far infrared lamp or a far infrared thing that your dog can sit in front of, this is where shungite is just the thing that you can just carry in your pocket. You don't need to plug it in. It just is plugged into you.
Well, this is why I love doing these interviews, because every time I do one, I get excited and feel hopeful. And so, Cassie, you are clearly doing wonderful work and bringing hope in a time where that's, a very precious commodity. So, thank you very much for what you're doing and for your time today.
Oh, you're totally, totally. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just gonna just say I'm just going to show you my water toggle. So this literally will purify your water, whether it's on your shower, your bottle, or your taps. And these, again, because of the far infrared, are going through the container to purify the water. As you probably know, far infrared creates EZ, which is the fourth stage of water, which is liquid crystal water. And, if we're wearing shungite, then that's our blood, our whole plasma inside our body is becoming liquid crystal. Everything is just coming into resonance. We're coming into resonance with each other. I mean, we are taking this planet with our frequencies in this quantum entanglement to the next level. And, there's no stopping us.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. If people want to find you, how do they do that?
So we are at orifimshungite.com, which is ORAPHIMSHUNGITE. And if you would like to order from us and pop that you're a Cabby member in your order notes, we're going to put some extra special gifts in for you. So don't worry about that. We because we're working this quantum way, we love putting the orders together, and then I'll get the quantum voice, and it'll say, "Oh, they need this," and I'll go, "Okay, I'll put it in there for them." And it's like having the boss in the quantum realm and this direct line to tell me what people need. And it just is just such the best job in the world.
Magic. Thank you. Thank you very much, Cassie.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.
And thank you all for watching. Until next time, goodbye.